Hello, and welcome to another revolutionary conversation. My name is Jules Hare, and I'm joined by my beloved soul sister, Janelle Willette. Janelle, the other day we were talking, and you had said something, and I was like, "Ooh, I need to dig into that more," because as soon as you said it, it just like brought up a whole bunch of curiosity, really. And that was Jules, like, it's time. Leadership is up for grabs right now. What did you mean by that, Janelle?
Leadership is up for grabs. Powerful times that we live in. And I think right now, leadership is coming out into the world based on a lot of fragmented and broken or unhealed parts of those people who are doing leading versus the art of leadership, the art and the lifestyle of leadership. And And my sense is, Jules, that we have lost our deep anchoring of what it is to lead and what a responsibility it is. What a responsibility it is, right? There's that saying of just because you can doesn't mean you should. So sometimes people, all of us, we have found ourselves in a position where we're in a place of power. We are in a place of influence. And then it would be so easy to just run with it because there may be an inner MO that's stirring in us that hasn't seen the light of day, that's a part of our shadow. And while we're on this trajectory, it can be tainted by this obsession for power or influence or um, steering the ship in a certain way, right? So I think it behooves us to really have a deep look inside of like what makes us the leader that we are and what is that trajectory that calls us to lead.
Oh, I don't know if everyone else could feel that, but that really speaks to my heart. It reminds me of a conversation I had with my husband the other day. One of my daughter's people in her high school, so she wasn't close friends with her, but we got an email that she unexpectedly died. And when I touched base with my daughter, she said, "Oh, she committed suicide the other night." And I just remember just going, "Oh, wow." And Phil said, like, she didn't really even get a chance to get to know herself, or she didn't get a chance to grow into who she really was. And it got us leading into this conversation. Yeah. Didn't realize I was going to cry this time, but that's how it goes, right? uh, got us into this conversation about how our teenagers, our kids, and my daughter said the same thing. Even like 10-year-olds, they're on their phones all the time. Even she said it, like, "Man, you didn't let us have phones until we were on the bus, riding the bus by ourselves. So then we weren't even allowed to have like internet on our phones."
Yeah.
And she said, "Can you believe these kids are growing up with phones, and that's all they ever do? And they're so rude, and they never even got to be kids." And she's 15, and she's able to see this already.
Yeah.
And Phil said, like, kids are growing up these days with to influencers. They're looking up to influencers, like YouTube influencers, TikTok influencers, people on
Mm-hmm,
Snapchat.
mm-hmm,
He
mm-hmm,
said, "But
mm-hmm.
what you're doing with Janelle, what you're doing, you're working with leaders." And I said to him, like, "What do you feel is the difference?" And he said, "Influencers and leaders are a completely different bunch." And I said, "But our kids are looking up to the influencers." And he said, "Yeah." He said that's the saddest part. And a lot of these influencers don't realize that they are taking the lead, but without taking the responsibility of the lead.
Right, right. And that's so powerful because in our Revolutionary Leadership Academy, that golden genius of a leader is a very important place to visit and hone in and not only clarify but deepen the roots and bring those roots alive into your life. Because obviously, you're not a leader to the world until you're first a leader to yourself. And so it really harkens back to the self of like, wow, what is your relationship with yourself? How in tune and aligned are you with your inner self? And in Revolutionary Leadership Academy, we look at the MVP, a different MVP than most people speak of. And the MVP is your top 3 morals, your top 3 values, your top 3 priorities. Because essentially that's what makes you who you are. That makes me who I am. And when I can act from, create from, envision from, speak from that, then the leadership and the influence is a confluence of something that is of golden value. It's really the gift that we would want to give to our next generation. Because a lot of these people who are influencers have not had that guidance from a young age, right? And so there's sort of like a plant that's growing without deep roots. And there's a time now that we really need to find what we're made of, because that's what's going to give us the steady, sturdy anchor and the holding in the midst of this chaos and this time of uncertainty with how things are going to roll in the world.
And I know you've said this before, Janelle, and that like imagining a plant with really shallow roots, nails it home as well, as that uh, when we get to that point of a leadership role and that tendency, and I've had this tendency in myself where this power hungry part of me comes out and goes, oh, now everybody's looking up to me, or now I'm at this place where I have to do things perfectly. And then we hold even more control over ourselves to try to be that. And we push down other parts of us that make us real and raw and human. That ability to lead, also balanced with, and you've said this before, the ability to be led. And like oftentimes a leader, if we get in any way infatuated with our own power, it doesn't leave room for us to be led. It doesn't leave room for that beautiful dynamic that really is the uniting force versus the separating force.
Right.
So please
and the checks and balances of that, right? Because a lot of times leaders and trailblazers live a lonely path. And at the moment when you're leading, it doesn't feel lonely because you have an auditorium or a group of people that you're leading. And that's what's animating that leadership if it's not grounded. So you go home to yourself and it's an empty, dark room. And the amount of despair and discontent that many leaders are sitting with is one that's hard to even grasp and to know what to do with, because all these people are looking up to these leaders. And because they haven't had the checks and balances and the accountability and the opportunity to be real and raw and also very human, then it's hard to thread back and to go find that place and be able to meet your own self as a human and want to really be with and resolve some of those shadow qualities and be on that wheel of evolution like the rest of us. Oftentimes you'll see that leaders who are not anchored in their deep MVP are actually not evolving and growing as quickly and as fluidly as the people they lead. They often, if you look at it, they continue to tell the tale and to lead from the propaganda and that infatuation that is going on with leader and those that are leading. And that's when it can really go corrupt. So to avoid that undertow of those shadow qualities, the Leadership Revolutionary Academy is here to say, hey, let's create leaders in a new way that are really built from the inside out. And what does that look like? And when we have that clarity, we can have that be connected to our power source. And when there's power, there's purpose. And when there's purpose, there's passion. And in passion and presence and poise, that fluidity and that feeling of I'm contributing while I'm growing, evolving. And actually, then the leader can feel like they belong. Because that's one of the essential qualities of every human, is to belong.
And that sense of belonging and community and contribution and that which we're all looking for, because that's actually what fulfills us. And I say this from my own experience because I've been on that power hungry, like, oh, I didn't even realize that part of me that wanted to control was overriding the part that really wanted to grow and be led. Because it's almost like the more power that you get, the more influence that you have. And I know this, I've worked with a lot of influencers and leaders and amazing people throughout the world and in many years. And they often will say the same thing as they, like you said, they feel lonely because from being a human to then being put up on a pedestal. And then the more books you write and the more conferences you lead and the more people look up to you, the farther and farther and farther away you feel from being connected to other people. And when you're not connected to other people and you're not a part of the community and the contribution, and you don't feel like you can be, share even your vulnerability, because then they'll think differently of you, and then you'll lose something in your hierarchical power system, and or just that you couldn't hold yourself together if they found out, because you've connected so deeply here. It's not a bad or good thing. It's something that's separating that doesn't need to separate. And so this Revolutionary Leadership Academy, this is our like step into, wait a second, we've got this, and we don't have this separately. We have this together, and together in ourselves, but also together in community.
Truly a paradigm shift is up. And that's exactly why the words is leadership is up for grabs, because the style of leadership that we're seeing that isn't grounded is obsolete. And it's not going to lead us as a humanity. It's not going to lead the purpose of whatever that leader is doing. It's not going to lead us into a place of evolutionary unfolding. And I think now more than ever, it's for us to go, wait a second, I'm a leader. You're a leader. We're all leaders. If you lead your own life, you're a leader. And a lot of times it's the way that you lead your life is the greatest example, either in the community or with young people. If you're a parent and your children are interconnecting with you as one of the parents, and you hold yourself as a revolutionary parent. If you're a part of the community, you're on the city council or just holding a position, then when you are at the helm of what truly moves you and what you feel is most important and valuable, and you live according to that golden thread inside of you, it's going to be how you do what you do that's more important than what you do or even what you say. Your contribution is monumental. And so when we can stand in that, in our being presence, that's when we start feeling and seeing the shift. And that's why it's not waiting for the people out there to change, because the involution of humanity. So think of involution doing our own inner work. But what we're saying is, as a macrocosm, as a community of people who want our humanity to evolve to its next level, its golden era, then we each take it upon ourselves to become the best leader that we know we're capable of. And that's all you need to do. You don't need to go out and seek and find a position of power. Be that power and lead your life in such a way that it's so impeccable that that undiluted energy of who you are and what you stand for will be more influential in this paradigm shift.
The number of times I've heard people say, oh, I just wish there were more leaders out there. I wish there were better leaders to choose from. And whether it's Canadian politics, American politics, like different countries, but it matters not. In every country, in every place, this is all the conversation. Like, I wish there were more better leaders, but we're not looking to ourselves as being that. We're trying to push accountability everywhere else. As always, we're trying not to own it. We're trying to give it away. But if we, from what you just said, and that idea that we've created with Revolutionary Leadership Academy, this is on us. And if we take this seriously, right, leadership is up for grabs, right? Which means that, hey, what if there's enough that we can all grab it? Like, let's grab it. Yeah. And then
leadership is looking at you, right?
I like that. Yes. Leadership is ready and waiting for you.
Yeah. So each of us, it's calling you by name. So whatever your life looks like at this very moment, knowing that nothing needs to change for something to shift or pivot inside is where the power is. That pivot, that shift. If you just change the sails, the orientation of your sail, and you grab let the winds grab your sail in a different way, the possibilities are endless. And that's really being in alignment with ourselves so that we can hold that orientation within and throughout our lives. Right? So really it's a quest that comes from your question, whatever your question is, about what is my place? What is my place? Right? You're a chess piece on this great chessboard of the new era. Right? We're visioning this new era. Well, then we need to become a new and improved chess piece to be worthy and ready, to be capable, and to have the capacity to hold ourselves. Because when we have that capacity to hold ourselves and be true to ourselves, we have the capacity to hold everyone around us. Because we've done the work, we see, we move from compassion, empathy, respect, regard, true 100% regard for everyone. Everyone's just as valuable. And everyone has a gift to give.
Yeah, and we're the only ones who can activate that within ourselves. We're the only ones who can choose to step in and answer the calling, right? Leadership is up for grabs and it's calling out to you. What part of you, and this is a question Janelle would ask me, I can feel it coming through, is that, like, what is stopping you from answering that calling? What's the first thing that comes up? What's the resistance? Because if there's resistance, that's the best place to look. The world is waiting for you. And revolutionary leaders are born from the inside.
They are born from the inside. And, I love the core essence of what back in the day when people really regarded what entrepreneurship was, is entrepreneurs solve problems. Right? So An entrepreneur is a creator, an inventor of something new and original that's never been invented. And we just had conversations about the Golden Genius Mastermind and the awakening of the golden genius inside of each of us, so that we feel the readiness to create something original, something that's never been in the world. Because I think that's really what we're seeing, that the world is waiting for us to go inside and to remodel, restructure, reframe, and redesign. Because as we individually and collectively do this, we're shape-shifting humanity. And it's the human renaissance, the renaissance of the people that are going to create the change. And that's empowering.
Yes.
When we really get the correct perspective of what creates change and these paradigm shifts, it starts with a decision. It starts with holding up the mirror to your own self and saying, how am I contributing to the change that I want to see in the world?
Mm.
And why have I put it on them? What have I done? And so, wow, okay, now it's time for each of us to go inside and feel what's beckoning us to live our best life. Because in living that truth and to be true to your truth is really what's going to bring so much fulfillment and sense of contribution. And it'll also bring forth this natural yearning that we all want to be seen and heard and loved and valued and respected. Because when we're living from here, we naturally gravitate to people who can see us and revere us and respect us. But if we're closed down, we don't even make ourselves available for the value that wants to be lived from us.
Mm. And that degree of empowerment of remembering that our true truth, no matter whether we're picking up garbage or we're, the mayor of a city or we're walking our kids to school, you can feel that. Like you're leading just in being you. Yeah. People can feel that. We can feel that when we talk to somebody. We can feel that when we pass somebody on the street. There's just something about them, and you start thinking just a little bit differently, even though you didn't even lock eyes with them. There was just something. And that reminder of our capacity, that we are energetic beings in that regard. It's not about us doing. Our contribution comes by being.
And I think in that same way is there's always something we can do as stewards for the betterment of humanity. And I am reminded of this gentleman. He's in his mid-80s. He's got Parkinson's. And he walks down scenic road and around the beautiful ocean. And he picks up trash. And he just goes about his merry way. And he's always got a smile on his face. He goes, this is the least I can do to keep this place so beautiful. And he does joy because he's on purpose. And it makes him feel good. It's inspiring. And you can see how he's not doing it for anyone else. Right? And so it's like, it's not those big things. And how many people do you think notice this gentleman doing his part despite the conditions and whatever? He could sit on his butt and say, oh, I'm retired. I've done my piece. I've got Parkinson's. It's hard for me to walk. He doesn't let anything get in his way. So that's the whole thing of like, probably it's just you in your own way. Because there's always something you can do to be a contribution to the betterment of humanity and our planet. My big what if a couple years ago was, what if each of us, it was like our civic duty, if you were 15 years and older, what if it was your civic duty to take 3 hours of your week and do some service for humanity, your community, your city, or the people around you? 3 hours. It could be picking up trash. It could be planting flowers. It could be weeding the gardens in around town. It could be picking up groceries for somebody who's cannot get out. But what if 3 hours a week, every single person just did some work of service? Do you know the mental and the emotional state that would begin to change and move to a new frontier? Because of that civic duty, it would give people permission and the opportunity to act from service and contribute in a simple way that actually gives back more than the steward of whatever those actions are. Such an antidote it would be.
It would, because even just you saying that, Janelle, and I'm sure lots of people who are listening and watching here are thinking the same thing, like, oh, what could I do? Or what would be the first thing that I would do? And oh, I never even thought of it, but it would get you in that state of pondering that. What would you love to do to help somebody? And then their smile or their response and receiving that, and the fact that everybody's doing it in different ways, right? You'd be seeing
Right.
it everywhere.
Yeah. What's
It'd
your
be
gift?
beautiful.
Tuesdays, I pick up trash. I go on my sacred place on my thing, and I take a bag with me when I hike. And Tuesdays, or one day during the week, usually it's Tuesdays, I pick up trash. It's just my day. It's my piece. And so it's just one of those routines and rituals that I hold for myself. And I think to myself, am I picking up garbage that's not very fun to pick up because of people's negligence? But it's also that compassion of like, forgive me for the times that I've been ignorant and not compassion, not caring, and not a steward of the beauty and the people around me. There have been times that I'm negligent and I'm ignorant. And I said, this, forgive me for those times. And I'm, in a way, forgiving these people. And I'm being a part of the change through my own demonstration of my own inner self. I'm not putting it on them. I'm picking it for you. I'm actually picking up for me the times that someone picked up the slack because of my ignorance. And there have been plenty of moments in my life that I've been ignorant. I've been in my own myopic vision. I can't think of that, right? How many people have you seen have walked by an empty bottle or piece of trash and just walked by? I know I've done it. I can't be bothered. Really? Yeah, I can't be bothered. Oh, I got my clean clothes on. I'm with a group of influential people. Yeah, maybe that's the moment you do it. But if you're doing a ritual and a routine and you're of that, you won't do it to be noticed, and you won't even feel the pressure because that's what you're of. In a way, it's like, what if we all did this? So what is your gift to give? Because that gift that is for you to give is probably the most powerful gift that you give yourself. Connects us to the tapestry of everyone.
Cool. And there you have it. Leadership is up for grabs. This is the perfect place to end it, Janelle, because there is so much richness in that, and not a one of us is not thinking about, phew, what is it that I could do, but also that idea of, yeah, we've all been negligent, we've all been
Yeah.
myopic, like blinders on, like, nope, got to get this done. That is not important. And being able to take full ownership, full responsibility, full leadership, and not a, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and creating shame and blame and guilt of ourselves for having not done it. And I am definitely one who's done this before in my past as well, and constantly catching myself
Yeah.
now to go, not feel bad about the things that we've missed in the past, but actually go, wait a second, there's there is a way in which I can lead my world now that is honoring of my past and my future.
Yes.
And that golden genius that we've talked about, and we just launched the Golden Genius Mastermind. So if anybody's interested, like, it's going to be phenomenal, and there's more to come. But that idea of being able to weave that, your own IQ, your own intelligence, all your experiences, and the experience of being upset with yourself, or being aware or not being aware of things that you've done in the past, or the relationship you're creating with your future self, consciously or unconsciously, but actually weaving that with that the QI, as Janelle phrases it, the quantum intelligence, right? That, like, that which is bigger than us, that which can dance with our experience, with our intelligence, and create something brand new together. And that's the revolution. And this is revolutionary leadership and what it's all built on. And this is what we're stepping into, and this is what we want to see in the world, which means it's what we got to create in the world. Grab it, right?
Yeah. This is our invitation and our dance floor,
Mm.
because we know that it takes all of us. So we all just do our part, or begin to do our part, or begin to even reorient our sails in a more aligned way with our inner self. Meeting life on life's terms and knowing what that next step is for each of us is the best lived moment that will create the change that is beckoning you and that the world wants to see.
We'll do it together. Thank you so much,
Precious.
Janelle. Oh,
Yes.
so
Golden elixir,
awesome as
isn't it?
always. Always. And thanks to everybody who's joining in. Please feel free to reach out, leave a comment, whatever feels right for you. If this has moved you, we'd love to hear about it. We are here for the revolution, whatever that looks like, and however it shows up in you. If you're willing and ready to say yes to that calling, we're happy to be here to serve you. Mm. Sending so much love to everybody today. Thank you, Janelle.
Blessings.
See you next time.